The words hung in the air like the mist rising from the lake. Jake's voice cracking as he said, "Sawyer, I think I'm in love with you." My heart stopped. The fishing line forgotten in my slack grip. Because my straight best friend of 10 years had just shattered the world I thought I knew. In that moment, by the still waters of Lake Michigan, everything changed and nothing at all. It started innocently enough. Or at least that's what I told myself in the weeks leading up to that trip. Jake and I had been inseparable since freshman year at the University of Michigan. Two kids from the Rust Belt towns of Ohio who'd bonded over late-night study sessions in the dorms, cheap beers at dive bars in Ann Arbor, and dreams of escaping the grind of our blue-collar upbringings. He was the golden boy captain of the intramural soccer team, always with a girl on his arm at parties. The kind of guy who could charm a room full of skeptics with that easy grin and those calloused hands from summers working construction. I was Sawyer, the quiet one, the art major sketching portraits in the corners while everyone else partied, harboring secrets I'd buried so deep even I sometimes forgot they were there. Gay. Yes, but closeted in a way that felt like survival in our small-town echo of a campus. Jake never knew, or so I thought, and I never pushed, because what we had, that rock-solid friendship, was rarer than any romance I'd chased in shadows. That summer after graduation, 2015, the world felt wide open and terrifying. We'd both landed jobs in Chicago and in sales for some logistics firm downtown. Me freelancing graphic design from a cramped Wicker Park apartment that smelled like instant ramen and regret. Life was a blur of entry-level hustles, but we carved out weekends like sacred ground. Fishing trips to Lake Michigan became our ritual, a way to unplug from the city's roar and pretend we were still those invincible college kids. One last pure escape before we sell out completely. Jake had joked when he suggested the August getaway. His truck loaded with coolers, tackle boxes, and enough bait to feed a small army. I said yes without hesitation, because saying yes to Jake was as natural as breathing. The drive up from Chicago was 4 hours of golden hour highways. Windows down, Springsteen blasting from the speakers as cornfields blurred into dunes. Jake drove, one hand on the wheel, the other drumming rhythms on his thigh, singing off-key about born-to-run glory days that felt both distant and achingly close. I watched him from the passenger seat, stealing glances at the way the fading sun caught the stubble on his jaw, the freckles across his nose from too many unprotected afternoons on the pitch. God, he was beautiful in that unassuming way, broad and solid, like he could anchor the world if it started spinning too fast. I'd loved him for years, not in the explosive rom-com sense, but in the quiet, bone-deep way that made every laugh we shared feel like a gift. But he was straight, or at least that's the story we'd both written. Flings with baristas and sorority sisters. Tales of awkward hookups swapped over whiskey shots. I was the safe harbor, the friend who listened without judgment, who never crossed the line because crossing it meant risking the only real family I had left after my parents' divorce splintered everything back home. We pulled into the state park just as the sky bruised purple, the lake a vast, whispering mirrors stretching to the horizon. Our spot was a secluded cove off the beaten path, ringed by whispering pines and smooth pebbles that crunched under our boots. Jake backed the truck to the water's edge, and we set up camp with the efficiency of old pros, tent pitched, fire pit ringed with stones, rods baited with night crawlers wriggling in a styrofoam cup. Dinner was grilled brats and beans from a can, washed down with IPAs that fizzed cold against the humid air. We talked shit about our bosses, reminisced about that epic tailgate before the Ohio State game. And for a while, it was perfect, the kind of night that makes you believe in do-overs. As the stars punched through the velvet dark, we settled by the fire, flames dancing shadows across Jake's face. He was quieter than usual, poking at the embers with a stick, his brow furrowed like he was wrestling some invisible opponent. You ever think about how fast it's all slipping away? He asked finally, voice low, almost lost in the lap of waves. I nodded, tossing another log on the fire, sparks swirling up like fireflies on steroids. Every damn day. But hey, at least we've got this. I gestured to the lake, the woods, us. He looked at me then. Really looked. His blue eyes catching the glow in a way that made my chest tighten. Yeah, he murmured. Us. Sleep came fitful in the tent. The nylon walls thin against the night's chorus of crickets and distant loon calls. I lay there, inches from him, listening to the steady rhythm of his breathing, wondering if he dreamed in straight lines or if, like me, his nights tangled with what-ifs. Dawn broke soft and pink, pulling us out to the water's edge. We waded in up to our knees, the chill biting through our jeans, casting lines into the glassy calm. Bass were biting early, and for hours it was just the pull and release. The thrill of a fight won. Fish slapping silver against the gunnels of our inflatable raft. Laughter echoed off the trees as Jake hooped over a keeper, holding it aloft like a trophy, water streaming from its scales. I snapped a photo on my phone, his grin wide and wild. And for a second, I let myself imagine this was our life, simple, shared, eternal. But as the sun climbed high, burning off the mist, something shifted. We beached the raft and sprawled on the shore, shirts off, letting the warmth soak into our skin. Jake cracked open a couple of sodas, handing me one with that familiar half-smile. But his eyes darted away, fixed on the horizon where the lake met sky. Sawyer, he started, then stopped, crushing the can in his fist until aluminum groaned. I waited, heart picking up tempo, the air thick with unspoken weight. What's eating you? Man, I finally said, propping on an elbow, sand gritty against my back. He exhaled sharp, like he'd been holding it since Chicago. It's you. It's always been you. The confession spilled out then, halting at first, then in a rush that left us both breathless. How he dated girls because that's what you do, small town expectations. Family barbecues where uncles slapped backs and asked when you'd settle down. How the laughs with them felt hollow. The touches obligatory. While every moment with me lit something deep and unnamed. I thought it was just bromance. You know, brothers before. Whatever. But last winter, when you crashed at my place after that snowstorm, and we stayed up till 3 watching old movies, your head on my shoulder. Fuck. Sawyer. It hit me. I'm not straight. Or maybe I am. But not when it comes to you. His voice broke on the last word, eyes shining with a mix of terror and relief, hands trembling as he reached for mine and I let him, our fingers lacing like they'd always belonged. In that instant, the world narrowed to the salt of his skin, the vulnerability cracking his armor wide open. I pulled him close, our foreheads touching, breaths mingling in the space between. Jake, I whispered, the name a prayer and a promise. We kissed there on the shore, tentative at first, then fierce, years of pent-up longing crashing like waves. It was messy, real teeth clashing, hands fumbling, the taste of lake water and fear on our lips. When we broke apart, gasping, the sun beat down merciless. But inside, a storm raged. What now? The straight friend wasn't straight anymore, and the closeted one had just stepped into the light, hand in hand with the man who'd upended everything. The rest of the day blurred into a haze of stolen touches and whispered confessions. The fishing rods abandoned like relics of who we'd pretended to be. We packed up early. The drive back to Chicago's silent save for the hum of tires and the radio's soft indie folk crooning about lost loves found. Jake's hand rested on my thigh the whole way, an anchor in the uncertainty. But as the skyline loomed, Reality crept in: jobs, families, the judgmental stares of a city that preached acceptance but whispered behind closed doors. My phone buzzed with a text from my mom. "Miss you, kiddo. When you bringing a girl home?" I deleted it. Throat tight. Jake's parents, devout Catholics from the suburbs, had already started dropping hints about his eligible cousin from back east. That night, in my apartment, we crossed every line we'd drawn, bodies tangling in sheets that smelled of laundry detergent and new beginnings. It was tender, exploratory as hesitance melting into hunger, my guarded heart unfolding like a long-held secret. Afterward, curled against him, listening to the L train rattle past, I felt whole for the first time. "This is us now," he murmured into my hair, voice thick with sleep. "No more hiding." I believed him, in that fragile dawn light, because love like this born from friendships forged felt unbreakable. But life has a way of testing forges. 2 weeks later, Jake's promotion came with a catch: a transfer to the company's branch in Detroit. A 6-month trial that could make or break his career. "It's temporary," he assured me over takeout Thai. But his eyes betrayed the lie. Detroit was 2 hours north. Close enough for weekends. Far enough to strain the fragile thread we'd woven. I nodded, forcing a smile. But inside, panic clawed. I'd finally let myself love openly. And now distance threatened to unravel it all. The first month was a grind of video calls and hurried visits. Our conversations laced with "I miss you" and "can't wait." But cracks formed: missed trains, exhausted silences, the weight of unspoken fears. Jake threw himself into work, climbing ladders while I sketched designs that blurred into abstractions of longing. One weekend, he drove down unannounced, bursting through my door with pizza and that grin, sweeping me into a kiss that erased the miles. We made love on the living room floor, fierce and reclaiming. But afterward, as he traced patterns on my chest, he confessed the real storm: his family's growing suspicions. "Dad cornered me last Sunday. Asked why I'm not dating. If there's something wrong with me." His voice hollowed, and I held him tighter, whispering that we were right. That love didn't bend to bloodlines. Yet doubt seeded. I started noticing the hesitation's hand pulling away in public parks. The way he'd scan rooms for familiar faces before leaning in for a peck. Was it fear? Or regret? My own ghosts rose too, memories of high school taunts. The ex who'd ghosted after coming out went public. One night, after a particularly brutal call where static swallowed his apologies for canceling a visit, I drank too much bourbon alone, staring at the fishing photo on my walloos, grinning by the lake, oblivious to the echo waiting. The breaking point came in October, leaves turning fiery as Jake's trial period hit its midpoint. He invited me up for homecoming weekend at U of M, a nod to our roots. But it felt loaded. An arbor buzzed with alumni energy, tailgates spilling onto lawns, the scent of chili and cider thick in the air. We navigated it like tightrope walkers' arms slung casual, jokes flowing easy for old friends who spotted us. But at the game, packed into the stadium's roar, a group of his frat brothers pulled him into a huddle, their laughter booming. I hung back, nursing a beer, when one clapped Jake's shoulder and boomed, "Where's the girl? Harlan, you gone monk on us." Jake's face flickered, that mask of charm slipping, and he mumbled something about taking it slow. The words landed like hooks in my gut, yanking old insecurities to the surface. That night, in a hotel room overlooking the campus, the dam burst. "Do you regret it?" I demanded, voice raw as we faced off across the rumpled bed. Rain lashed the window, mirroring the tempest inside. Jake's eyes widened, hurt flashing. "Regret you? Sawyer, you're the best goddamn thing in my life." But I pressed, wounds spilling. "Then why do you flinch?" Why the excuses to your family? To your friends? If this is real, why does it feel like I'm still hiding? He paced, hands raking through his hair. The boyish vulnerability from the lake warring with the man shaped by expectations. It's not that simple. My dad's heart attack last year, he looks at me like I'm his legacy. The son who'll carry on. Marry right. Give him grandkids. And you? I love you so much it scares me. What if I fuck this up? What if they take you away from me? The fight escalated. Words like barbsome accusing him of cowardice. Him firing back that I didn't understand the pressure. The suffocating weight of straight etched into his bones. A slammed door. A stormed-out walk in the downpour. And hours later, he returned soaked, collapsing into my arms with sobs that shook us both. I'm sorry. He choked. I'm trying. For us. We made up in the dark. Body's a bridge over the chasm. But the scar lingered, a reminder that love, even profound, could bruise. Winter descended harsh. Snow blanketing Chicago in isolation. Jake's transfer extended another 3 months. Just to seal the deal, he said. But it stretched our thread thin. Holidays loomed like minefields, my mom. Remarried and oblivious. Hosting a turkey dinner where I dodged questions with vague smiles. His family. Gathered in their suburban split level. Toasting traditions that excluded the truth. He skipped Christmas with them to fly down. Our gift exchange intimate, a leather-bound sketchbook from me. A silver chain with a tiny fish pendant from him. Symbol of that fateful shore. To echoes that last. He engraved inside. And I wore it always. A talisman against the cold. But isolation bred distance. Calls grew sporadic. Laced with fatigue. One February night, after a blizzard trapped me indoors, I scrolled old texts. The lake trip's photos glowing like ghosts. A knock shattered the silence, Jake. Unannounced again. Cheeks flushed from the wind. Duffel in hand. I quit. He blurted. Stepping inside. Snow melting on the floor. Told them no to the extension. We're doing this. Sawyer for real. No more half measures. Relief crashed over me. And we celebrated with takeout and tangled limbs. Planning a future, shared apartment. Weekend getaways. Maybe even telling our families when the time felt right. Spring thawed the ice. And with it, our resolve. Jake landed a lateral move back in the city. Sales gig with better hours. And we signed a lease on a Logan Square walk-up. Sunlight pouring through bay windows onto hardwood floors we'd refinished together. Mornings became rituals, coffee brewed strong. His lips brushing my temple as I sketched at the table. Evenings. We'd cook him burning pasta. Me salvaging with herbs, laughing over the wreckage. Intimacy deepened. Not just physical but soul-bearing, sharing childhood scars. Dreams deferred. The quiet terror of vulnerability. Yet Kitch Tin never fully recedes in stories like ours. Jake's coming out started small, a casual mention to his sister over beers. Her hug fierce and whispered, I'm proud. Emboldened. He invited me to a family barbecue in May. Nerves jangling like keys in his pocket. The backyard hummed with ants stirring potato salad. Cousins chasing kids across the grass. His dad manning the grill in an apron faded from years of use. Son, the old man said later, pulling Jake aside by the garage. Voice gruff, but eyes soft. That boy. He makes you happy. Jake nodded. Throat working. And when his father clapped my shoulder, welcome to the madness. Sawyer, the world righted a fraction. My side was rockier. Mom's new husband. A conservative accountant with a Bible on the nightstand. Bristled at the roommate label when I brought Jake home for a visit. Dinner devolved into veiled barbs. Her defending with awkward deflections. Driving back. Tears stinging. Jake squeezed my hand. We'll build our own family. He vowed. And we did, friends from college folding us in. A chosen circle that celebrated with brunches and pride flags fluttering from our balcony. By summer's cusp, 1 year after the lake, we returned to that cove. The water gleamed unchanged. Pine's sentinel. But we were altered rings glinting on our fingers from a quiet courthouse ceremony. Vows exchanged in a clerk's office with 2 witnesses and a bottle of champagne. We cast lines again. Not for fish, but for peace. The rhythm soothing old echoes. As dusk fell, Jake turned to me. That same cracked voice from before. But steadier now. I love you, Sawyer. More than the water. More than the stars. I kissed him. Deep and sure. The confession no longer a shatter, but a foundation. And in the quiet that followed, with fireflies winking like approvals, I knew the echo wasn't haunting, it was harmony. A life song we'd only just begun to sing. The rhythm of our new life settled like silt after a storm. But beneath the calm, undercurrents pulled. Jake thrived in his role. Charisma sealing deals that padded our savings for dream trips a weekend in the Smokies. Whispers of Provincetown. I landed a steady gig with a queer-owned ad agency. Designs that spoke to hidden hearts. Mirroring my own unburdening. Pride Month hit Chicago like a fever. Rainbow flags snapping from every lamppost. And we marched hand in hand down Halstead. His grip unyielding amid the cheers and confetti. For the first time, I saw him unguarded in the crowd shouting chants. Eyes alight with a freedom he'd earned through grit. But freedom's price is vigilance. At a work happy hour, one of Jake's colleagues, a slick VP with a wedding band and a smirk, cornered him by the bar. Voice oily. Heard you're playing for the other team now. Harlan. Careful clients get twitchy about that rainbow shit. Jake laughed it off later, recounting over burgers. But I saw the flinch. The way his fork scraped the plate too hard. It's nothing, he insisted. But sleep evaded us both that night. Bodies close, yet miles apart in worry. My own battles mirrored his, a client pulling a project after glimpsing my portfolio's subtle queer motifs. Muttering about brand alignment. We leaned on each other. Therapy sessions joint now. Unpacking the microaggressions that chipped at joy. Our therapist, a no-nonsense dyke with tattoos snaking up her arms, called it the long game of resilience. And we played it. Fiercely, date nights at hidden speakeasies. Volunteering at a youth center where kids like young me found mirrors in our story. Fall brought harvest festivals and a surprise Jake's dad. Ever the stoic. Showing up uninvited with a six-pack and a tentative offer to fix that leaky faucet you boys mentioned. Awkward beers on the stoop turned confessional. The old man admitted his own regrets. A college crush buried under marriage and mortgages. Love's love. Son, don't let fools tell you different. Tears welled as we hugged. Rough and real. A bridge mended. Winter whispered threats again. But we armored up. Jake's company holiday party loomed. A glittering affair at the Palmer House. Tuxes and tuxedo judgments. Together. I asked. Ty ask you in the mirror. He straightened it. Eyes fierce. Always. We entered arm in arm. Heads high. And when stares lingered, we met them with smiles that said we belonged. A slow dance to Sinatra sealed it. His hand warm at my waist. The room fading to just us. Spring bloomed with possibility talks of adoption. Of roots deeper than lakeside promises. But kitsch tins circled like a hawk. Jake's ex, a sorority girl from college named Lauren, resurfaced via mutual friends. Drunk dialing him at 2 a.m. Heard you're different now. Miss the old you. Her words, slurred and spiteful, unearthed his doubts. A late-night spiral where he paced our bedroom, questioning if he'd ruined his straight privilege for a love that might falter. I woke to his pacing, pulling him down. Our words a lifeline. You're not ruined, you're real. And I'm here. Echoes and all. Dawn found us entwined. resolve renewed. But the call lingered like smoke. Summer returned us to the lake. Anniversary ritual. This time, we kayaked deeper, spotting eagles wheeling overhead. On a rocky outcrop, Jake knelt not with a ring, but a vow renewed. Marry me again. Every year, till we're old and creaky. Laughter bubbled. Yes on my lips. And we made love under stars. Bodies a testament to endurance. Yet the gay can peaked in August. A storm literal and figurative. Jake's firm faced a merger. Whispers of layoffs slicing through cubicles. He poured nights into pitches. Coming home hollow-eyed. Our bed a chasm. One tempestuous evening. Thunder rumbling. He snapped, what if I lose it all? The job. The stability. Us. Rain hammered as I held him. Fears spilling, my own freelance dips. The specter of poverty that haunted our upbringings. The merger vote came down to a boardroom showdown. Jake presenting with fire that echoed his confession's courage. He won not just the deal, but respect. A promotion that affirmed his whole self. Returning drenched but triumphant. He swept me into a spin. Our whoops drowning the downpour. Autumn gilded our edges. Family folds widening. My mom, after tearful calls, hosted a dinner, her husband silent but present. A nod toward acceptance. Jake's clan grew bolder. His sister toasting us at Thanksgiving with, to the brothers I never knew I needed. Winter's hush brought quiet miracles, a positive pregnancy match through surrogacy whispers. Dreams of tiny hands and hours. But emotion crested at Christmas. Jake's dad gifting a framed photo from the lake us. Young and unknowing. Echoes start somewhere. He gruffed. Eyes misty. As snow fell soft outside. We curled by the tree. Lights twinkling. This is the life. Jake murmured. Hand on my belly in imagination. I nodded. Heart full. The confession by the water. Not an end, but the beginning of a symphony kitsch 10. Lang man. Profoundly human. Word count for this segment, approximately 1,000. Total so far, 2,000. Continuing seamlessly. The promise of family deepened our days, turning mundane moments sacred. Doctor visits became adventures. Ultrasounds revealing blips that bound us tighter. Jake, ever the protector, devoured parenting books. His construction calloused hands gentle on my knee during waits. I sketched nursery murals, whimsical forests where fish swam among trees. A nod to our origin tale. But life's drama doesn't pause for joy. Spring unearthed a ghost from my past, my high school bully. Now a barista in Wrigleyville. Recognizing me during a Cubs game outing. Sawyer. Still a fairy. He sneered. Coffee sloshing. Jake's fist clenched. But I waved him off. Years of therapy stealing me. Later. Over nachos. I unpacked the venom. Jake listening with a rage that mirrored my own buried hurt. You're brave as hell, he said, kissing my knuckles. That night, we reclaimed power and passion. Bodies defiant. Summer swelled with heat and hope. The surrogacy match solidified our carrier. A warm artist from Milwaukee, sharing coffees and laughs over shared dreams. Jake's promotion brought travel. A conference in New York where we stole Broadway nights. Rent hitting like prophecy. Amid neon and crowds. He pulled me into an alley kiss. Whispering, our story's better than any script. Yet tension brewed at home. Jake's sister announced her engagement. Family buzz centering on traditional vows. At the shower, aunts cooed over lace and tears. Sidelong glances our way. Jake bristled, defending our courthouse simplicity. But the undercurrent stung, a reminder that acceptance was patchwork, not seamless. Fall's harvest yielded bounty, first kicks on ultrasound. Our names whispered as possibilities. But Gaken struck when Jake's dad fell ill, pneumonia gripping fast. Hospital beeps a stark counterpoint to joy. We rush to the suburbs. Me holding Jake's hand in sterile halls. His vulnerability raw. What if he never meets the kid? He choked. The old man rallied, croaking from bed. Grandpa Harlan's got stories for that little one straight from the heart. Tears flowed. A family vigil that wove us closer. His recovery a quiet victory. Winter wrapped us in anticipation. Holidays hybrid my mom's tree mingling with Jake's clan's menorah nod from a Jewish aunt. The proposal to our carrier deepened bonds. Legal papers signed amid champagne toasts. Spring birth change, the baby arrived early. A boy with Jake's blue eyes and my dark tufts. Wailing into dawn. Hospital chaos blurred nurses. Calls. Exhaustion sweet. Naming him Ellis. After the lake's hidden coves. We cradled him. Echoes of confession, now lullabies. But emotion surged in waves. Sleepless nights tested us. Jake pacing with bottles while I nursed colic cries. A fight erupted over division. You're doing more. He accused. Shadows under eyes. And you're pulling away. I shot back. Hormones and fear fueling fire. Door slams. Apologies and whispers. But we mended. Therapy a beacon, parenthood amplifies. But doesn't redefine love. Summer sunbathed our trio. Park picnics where Ellis gurgled at ducks. Jake's work flexed paternity. His pitches now laced with fatherly fire. Pride marched with a stroller. Our family a banner amid the throng. Yet Kitch Tin lingered in shadows. An anonymous email to Jake's HR, unfit for leadership, promotes deviant lifestyle, triggered investigation. Hearts pounding in meetings. Cleared swiftly. It scarred. Fueling resolve. We joined advocacy. Jake speaking at panels. Voice steady. Love echoes beyond labels. Fall's colors mirrored growth. Ellis' first steps tumbling into our arms. Family dinners swelled. Bridges solid. Winter's Eve. By our fireplace. Jake pulled the lake photo. Dust-free. From confession to this. He marveled. Ellis asleep between. I nodded. Tears pricking. The waters whisper. A lifelong harmony. Romantic. Resilient. Redemptive. Years folded like pages. Ellis laughter the ink. Toddler tantrums tested. But triumph's first words, Dada. Duel for us, healed. Jake coached Pee-wee soccer. Me designing team logos. Our home a haven of chaos and calm. Drama revisited in adolescence's guise. Ellis. At 5. Queried playground whispers. Why two dads? We knelt. Simple truths. Love makes families. Buddy. Like the lake made us. But school forms demanded mother. Bureaucracy a barb. Jake advocated. Meetings fierce. Emerging with policy shifts ripples from our stand. Summer escapes to the lake became annual. Ellis casting plastic rods. Stories of Uncle Water's secret spun. One dusk. He asked, did Papa confess love there? Jake chuckled. Ruffling hair. The best kind. Kiddo. Yet Lang Man reignited in quiet ways. Anniversaries. We snuck away a cabin in Door County. Rediscovering touches amid waves. Still echoes in me. Jake breathed. Bodies timeless. Kitch Tin crested when Jake's firm-eyed expansion. Tempting overseas post. London. 2 years adventure for us. He pitched. Eyes alight. I wavered. Roots deep in Chicago's soil. Ellis school just starting. Nights debated. Fears aired. What if distance dulls us again? Heart to heart by the window. City lights witness. We chose home as counteroffer landing stateside growth. Fall brought harvest of maturity. Ellis kindergarten play. Us front row. Tears at his shepherd roll. Family swelled my mom. Softened by grandbaby hugs. Baking pies with Jake's dad. Unlikely allies. Winter, whispered legacies. Jake's dad. Frailty creeping. Gifted tools, build strong. Boys. For him. We did bunk beds assembled. Dreams voiced. Spring bloomed with Ella's curiosities. Questions on identity budding. Bookshelves stocked with tales of diverse loves. Our story the foundation. Summer's heat forged bonds. A road trip cross-country. Badlands to Big Sur. Ellis wide-eyed at wonders. By Pacific waves. Jake confessed anew. Every mile. You're my compass. Gaken and Micro, a neighbor's glare at pride flags. But community rallied. Block party toasts drowning doubt. Fall's introspection deepened. Therapy check-ins. Jake admitting old straight ghosts. Sometimes I miss the ease. Honesty bridged. My vulnerabilities shared. Fear you'll wake regretting. Winter solstice. We renewed vows lakeside. Ellis ring bearer. Stars approving. Echoes eternal. Jake vowed. Life's tapestry wove on. Threads of struggle silken with joy. The confession. Not end. But eternal spark human. Heartfelt. Horizon bound.